Hi, everybody. Bill Prince here, and I'd like to welcome you to the summer 2018 iteration of Introduction to the Law and Legal Reasoning. I thought what I would do in this hopefully brief video is introduce you a little bit to the class, kind of tell you what the expectations are, what you can expect every week, and the things that you need to do to get an excellent grade in here, which I hope everybody does. By now, you have, if you are hearing the melodious sounds of my voice, obviously navigated far enough into the Moodle environment such that you have gotten to the main class page and found the introductory video. And so congratulations on that. A couple of things for you all to do initially is first and foremost, obviously, please review the course syllabus and class policies, as these documents will pretty much set forth for us the things that we're going to be doing in the class this semester. So let's find out where that is. I think I just, where did you go? There we go. So you can go to that spot, and hopefully our class syllabus is going to come up, and there it is. So there's our course syllabus for Introduction to the Law and Legal Reasoning. In that, you can find some important things like my contact information. The best way to get a hold of me is at wprince@drury.edu. We try to keep most communications within the confines of the online class environment just to avoid confusion and things of that nature. However, if you need to get a hold of me in some fashion other than email, you can contact me at one of these two phone numbers here. And again, I'm usually available most of the day and into the evening. I'm pretty good at getting back to folks if you email me or call me. So if you don't hear from me for a period of, say, in excess of 24 hours, try again. But it would be a rare occasion that we would go that long without me communicating with you and returning your message or call or what have you. So these are ways to get a hold of me if you have questions during the class. This is our textbook, Introduction to the Law, 6th edition by Beth Walston Dunham. Used the book before. It's a pretty good text. It's not too complicated, and it's not too simple, but it is incredibly dense in terms of the material that is offered in there. And in an 8-week course, I have come to the realization that it is simply far too much to try to cover everything in the text. So we're going to hit some of the highlights of the text, and we'll talk about that a little bit later as we go down and kind of talk about our subject matter for the course. You can read about me. There's my story and my spiel, so please don't hesitate to read that. You can also read about me in the instructor bio section of the class as well. These are the learning outcomes that we are going to be doing in the class. And again, I don't want to read the syllabus to you, but I do kind of want to briefly highlight for you what we are going to be talking about. And again, this is obviously an intro level class into the legal system, into legal reasoning, and into substantive areas of law. So we are going to be painting with a relatively broad brush when it comes to talking about a number of these topics. So we're going to spend some time understanding and looking at the basic parts of the American legal system as related to the U.S. Constitution, which obviously is the supreme law of our land. We're going to look at the 3 branches of government and see the impact that they have on the law. We're going to spend some time talking about the court system and its structures. We're going to talk about the essential principles, rules, ethics, and doctrines of the practice of law. We're going to hopefully understand a little bit about legal research, a little bit about legal writing, and a little bit about legal reasoning. Not only how we go about engaging in our legal reasoning process, but how the courts go about their legal reasoning process and coming to decisions in various cases. And then learning objective 5, we're going to understand the core components of family law, criminal law, and litigation. in. Now, if you look at the textbook, you will see that there are chapters in there on contracts and real estate and estate planning and any number of other substantive areas of the law. And I just thought that that was way too much to kind of try to cram into 8 weeks. So I thought what we would do is try to understand three component areas of the law in pretty decent detail. If you go on and are majoring in paralegal studies, you'll have class or business for that matter. You'll have classes on torts. You'll have classes on real estate. You'll have classes on estate planning. You'll have classes on business law, contracts, and that kind of thing. And so I thought just in the interest of being able to give some justice to these topics, we would limit our substantive inquiry into family law, criminal law, and litigation. And throughout the course, we'll talk about some of the other areas a little bit. But I thought, rather than just kind of throw the farm at you, we would spend a little more time in specific on these particular areas. So hang on to the book if you've actually purchased a physical copy of it, because it really does have a pretty good discussion of these other areas that you might want to refer back to from time to time. Again, technology, obviously, if you're hearing my voice and seeing these pictures, you've got that up and running. I have always found that Google Chrome seems to be the best browser for Moodle. If you have trouble uploading things, seeing things, hearing things, things of that nature, go ahead and try to change your browser if there's a problem there. All right. Well, here's our course schedule. Excuse me. And each week is going to pretty much fall into sort of a routine pattern for you. So each week we'll read a chapter. There will be a discussion question or questions. The initial response to those questions will be due Tuesdays, no later than 11:59, and we'll talk about what those responses need to look like here in a little bit. And then, in addition to the initial response to each question, you're going to be required to post a minimum of 3 replies over the course of 3 days during the week, of course, with the last day to participate being Sunday. The reason that I have the requirements for the multiple day participation is that otherwise, people being people, we tend to put things off to the last minute, and we end up with a million different posts on Sunday evening, and that simply does not make for good conversation or discussion. So basically, in terms of the participation discussion requirements, there's going to be a total of 4 posts. 1, the initial response being due on Tuesday, and then 3 additional responses over the course of 3 days during the rest of the week. In addition to that, we will be doing what's called the Courts in the News. And, whatever class I teach, for the most part, I try to bring current events in it. For whatever the reason, people, aren't reading newspapers and magazines and periodicals as much as they once did. And that's unfortunate, but so each class I usually try to inject kind of a current events topic. So we talk about the courts in the news, basically, and again, I'll talk a little bit more about this when we look at a particular module. I'm basically asking that you go ahead and find an article in any publication of your choice. New York Times, Los Angeles Times, Washington Post, Mother Jones, Rolling Stone, whatever you happen to read, or just do some poking around and find some other sources that has something to do with the legal system. Ideally, maybe something to do with what we're talking about that week, but it doesn't have to. It just has to deal with courts or lawyers or something like that. And again, just to kind of keep your thumb on the pulse of what's going on. So those will be due each and every Sunday, with the exception of the last week when stuff is due on Friday. I don't know why that's just opening up, but I'm going to click that closed right now. There we go. Hopefully we're still going. And in any event, those will be due on Sundays with the exception of the last week of class, where everything is going to be due that Friday. So that's that. And then there will be weekly assignments that will be due, and those will be case analysis, case briefs, definitional assignments, and things of that nature. So again, each and every week will pretty much be the same. And then again, but look out for that last week, the week 8, July 8th through or 30th through August the 3rd, because that's a short week. It ends on Friday. And in addition, addition to the regular assignments, there will also be a final exam, and that will be multiple choice, true, false, primarily objective. That will open up on at 8 a.m. on Monday and close at midnight on Friday. So you have the whole week to complete that. So that's kind of the each week's coursework that you'll have. Down here we sort of have the description of the assignments. We have the value of those assignments, the course grading scale, and then of course the lengthy part of the syllabus. I can remember going to college and our syllabus, or syllabi, I guess, used to be about half a page long, it seemed like, but gosh, now there's so much that we have to put in there. In any event, this will kind of show you the rest of the story, so to speak. But in terms of discussions, and there are some expectations set forth there, what I'm looking for, I'm not necessarily looking for length. It's easy enough to say, well, they got to be 200 words or 250 words. I'm looking for good quality substantive posts. Sometimes those can be done in a sentence or two. Sometimes it can be done in a longer length. But the things that I'm not looking for are, I agree, I disagree, good post, what are you talking about, that kind of thing. Essentially what I'm doing is I'm looking for you demonstrating an understanding of the topic, demonstrating an understanding of what your classmates are saying, causing your classmates to look at their issue in a different way, something that advances the conversation. That's kind of what I mean by substantive posts. So I think you'll sort of get the hang of that as you see my feedback to your postings. So let's see, and then late work. I don't know what has happened lately, but it seems like late work has become more and more problematic for a lot of folks. So I've had to introduce a late work policy. I'm going to be pretty much a stickler about enforcing this because again, if you don't, then people tend to put everything off till the very end, and that's not what we're trying to go for here. So essentially, late assignments are going to receive a 10% deduction for each day that they're late, and if the assignments are more than 7 days late, they will not be accepted, and you'll receive a 0 for that assignment, unless you have, said, gosh, I'm going in for surgery this day, or something has happened, but you need to get in touch with me beforehand. So I'm going to be pretty much of a stickler on that thing. So if an assignment is more than 7 days late, 0. If you get it in before then, after the due date, there's going to be a late penalty. So be careful about those kinds of things. And then, of course, you can read the rest of that. I'm going to close out of that. And then of course, there's some additional class policies that you need to familiarize yourself with. And please make sure to look at those. I'm going to pull those up for you. But these are kind of jury's policies for the class. So make sure to familiarize yourself with all of those. Okay. There we go. We're going to see if we can close that maybe. There we go. All right. So again, hopefully most of you are familiar with the Moodle environment, but here again, there's my biography. If you want to take a peek at it, there's my smiling grill. So again, read a little bit about me, find out who I am, and let's see, let me get back out of here. There we go. So each week's going to pretty much look the same. I will have put up a PowerPoint lecture. Now, what this will allow you to do is basically, hopefully you're going to read the chapter, but the lecture will sort of, and some of these lectures aren't as short as I kind of hope they would be, but I've tried to sort of distill down for you sort of the high points of each topic and each chapter. And so, for example, chapter 1 talks about the historical basis and structure of our court system, and through these you ought to be able to run through pretty quickly and read these bullet pointed informational slides and get a pretty good idea of what we're talking about in that week's time. So please make sure to review those. And then of course there will be a discussion question here. This first week we'll deal with cannibalism, so I'm guessing that that's maybe not a topic you've had a discussion question on as of yet, but You might not have had me for an instructor, so there's no telling what we're going to be talking about. One thing I'll tell you is that the way that Moodle allows me to grade is cumulatively. So I can read your initial discussion post, and then I can grade that. And so the initial discussion posts are worth 25 points. So let's say you just do a bang up job on your initial post. I'm going to give you 25 points as I read it. So your grade will show 25. I've had people say, oh gosh, I haven't even finished my discussion. Well, that's right, but it'll grade cumulatively, because then maybe 2 days later you write another good reply post, and I'll mark that for 5, and then you'll show 30 points. So don't freak out until the end of the week, because the system allows me to kind of keep your grade cumulatively and grade it as I go. Alrighty. Then let's see here. Let's look at courts in the news. So really all I'm looking for you to do here is do something like this. Go to, let's get you to the New York Times. Let's see, I don't think I've got that up on my regular thing. So New York Times. Click on that. Okay. Don't subscribe to anything. Most of these sites that I think or most of the sites that hopefully you'll look at are free. So don't subscribe to anything unless you want to. And then really all you have to do is go through your site and find an article that deals with law and or the courts. Okay, and I'm going to see if anything just sticks out to me right away. Well, there's one, for example. Ross Douthat has written an article dealing with free speech. So in the first couple of weeks, we're going to talk about the First Amendment. We're going to talk about the Bill of Rights to the Constitution, fundamental cornerstone of our law. And so, you might want to read this article. And so then really all you need to do is kind of go to that, click and cut and paste, copy that, go back to the assignment. I'm not going to hit submit, but basically you would, in your assignment, paste that link in, and then just write a couple of sentences about why you found that article to be interesting. And that type of thing. And again, pretty low-hanging fruits, but it kind of gets you to be looking at the paper and magazines and sort of seeing what's going on. So let me close out of that again real quick. All right, let's see. Okay, that's all we need there. Okay. There we go. All right, and then get back to our menu here. Voila. And then, of course, there will be the assignment. And again, these will come out of your textbook. So some people say, hey, do I have to buy the textbook? And the short answer is yes, you have to buy the textbook, because that is where most of the assignments are going to come out of, and that's where your information for your final exam is going to come from. So yes, please make sure to do that. So again, each and every week is going to kind of look like that. Additionally, I will kind of give you a brief video summary of the week's lesson each week, so look for those. One other thing I would add is make sure to go to the announcements page, and you can see that I don't have an announcement posted yet, but there will be one by the time you're watching this video. And just double check the announcements, because that will tell you any news about the class, any special activities, any things I might want you to look at, that kind of thing. So pay attention to the announcements page. Make sure you look at that when you sign on to the class. So I think you're going to have a good time. This has always been an interesting class. We always have some good discussions and conversations. I really do hope you enjoy it. And again, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please don't hesitate to contact me, and we'll be talking to you in week 1. See you then. Bye.